Hey everyone, here's a game called Bandits. This is for grades 3 to 8. You're going to need pennies and foam balls. So to start, your students will be spread out in the playing area, and you'll choose 3 students who will be the bandits, and they'll wear pennies to distinguish themselves, and you're going to throw in however many foam balls you want. So it's up to you how many you want in there. Basically, the goal of the blue players is to keep the balls away from the bandits, who will go around and try and kick the balls away and try and hit the outside wall to eliminate the ball. So basically, students can dribble around, try and get away from a bandit. They can pass it to each other, but what happens if a bandit gets the ball and can kick the ball and it hits the outside wall, then that ball is taken out of the game. So you eliminate one ball, and the game continues on. So if bandits can just take it away, every time a ball is kicked against the wall, it goes away until there are fewer and fewer and none left. Then you choose new bandits. Hey everyone, this is a game called Soccer Ball Tag, and I like to use this game after I've done the dribbling and passing skills in a soccer unit. You need a bunch of soccer balls, or Nerf balls, or dodge balls if you're inside and you want to be safe. Alright, so in the playing area, you have your students spread out, and you'll choose a couple players who will be it, and they will get a ball to start. You're also going to have a bin or a bag of balls along the side waiting to be in play a little bit later. So the goal of the game is players who are it are going to try and pass or kick the ball at the students who don't have a ball by tagging them with the ball in the foot. So you have to tell them to be safe about it. If they've passed and missed, then they can go and chase the ball and dribble around or whatever. If a player gets hit in the foot by a ball, then the player who got hit will then also become a tagger. So they'll go and they'll grab a ball from the bag or the bin, and then they'll join in the game. So there are more taggers. And you keep going until everybody's tagged. Here are 5 soccer circle ideas for grades 4 to 8. You'll need soccer balls and cones. The first circle is the general basic circle where players will find an area and they're going to just pass the ball around one ball and make sure they're passing not directly to the person on either side, but that they have to pass it across somewhere, and also have them call out the name of the person they're going to pass to before they pass. The next circle is similar, except you're going to place cones down in the middle. They're still going to pass it across to players and back and forth, and in doing so, they're going to try and knock over cones as they're passing the ball until they can work as a team to knock all of them down. The third idea, same thing, one ball, big circle, but in the middle there will be a defender, and the defender is going to try and intercept the passes as they're going through. And once they can accomplish that, so in this case that pass was intercepted, then that player will switch spots with the person who passed it. And another way you can have it too is if there's a bad pass, then the person who made the bad pass maybe kicked it outside of the circle, then they need to go in the middle. Or if there's a bad reception, so if a pass was made and then they kind of fumbled around, then that player would have to go into the middle. The fourth idea is all the players on the outside will have a ball, and the one player in the middle is going to be the passer, well, the main passer, I guess, because it's still a passing idea. And they're going to call out a name of somebody who will pass on the ball, and they're going to one-touch it back to that player. So it's a little bit more advanced. Then right away they're going to rotate a bit, say somebody else's name, and make the pass back, spin again, call out someone else's name, and pass back. They'll do that a whole bunch of times, and then switch after a little while. And another more advanced one is all players will partner up and one ball between partners and place a cone or hula hoop or something in the middle area. And there's different things you can do. You can have them take turns dribbling there and back. So, the orange would start and dribble in there, dribble back, and then let the red go there and back. Or you can have them dribble to the hoop, pass it back, and then run back. You can have a few passes, so they can dribble in, pass, and then get a one-touch pass back while they're running back, or however you want to structure it. This game's called Pinball Soccer for grades 3 to 8. You'll need nets, foam balls, and pins. And thank you to Sarah for this game idea. So you're going to start with the playing area using a basketball court or a handball court, and you're going to have 2 nets on the ends, and you can use mats or whatever goals you have for those, and you'll place down some pins on the 3-point line or the crease from the handball court, as you see there. And you're going to have one team who will start on one half and the other team on the other half, and notice that there are goalies in the nets there. And around the pins, you're going to have a buffer zone or an area where no player can enter from either team. And you can use cones on the corners or have some lines or some spots as your markers. So however you can create those buffer zones. And then you're going to throw in some foam balls as the soccer balls. Now this is a soccer type game with a little bit of bowling and rolling involved, so it gets a bunch of skills all together in one game. And essentially the players will move around and get to a ball, and they'll be dribbling around the playing area. So we see a red player has got a ball and dribbling around, and of course all the other players will be moving at the same time. Now when the player stops, they have options. So that player there who stopped, they can either kick at one of the pins to knock it over, or at the net to try and score a goal on the green team, or they can pass to a teammate. So there's some choices they can make. The other choice is they could convert the ball to their hands. So at some point they're dribbling around. If they want, they can stop and convert the ball and bring it up to their hands. Now, if the player brings it up to their hands, so we'll pretend this player did that there. So when the ball's converted to their hands, they can either pivot to get a better angle, so they can pivot, do a basketball step there, or they can pass to a teammate, or they can bowl at a pin to knock it down, or bowl into the goal. So there's a few things they can do if they choose to put the ball up into their hands. And so we'll see that this player has chosen to bowl at a pin. So they've bowled it at that pin and knocked it over. So that gets their team a point. Red team would get a point. So now that player who knocked over the pin will pick up the pin, and then will then head to the scoreboard along the wall and put up a point for their team. And that's basically how a team can get a point. So a team can also get a point by scoring a goal on the other team by bowling or kicking it in. So it's a mixture of soccer and bowling. This game's called Pinball Soccer for grades 3 to 8. You'll need foam balls, skipping ropes, and pins. To start, you'll split the playing area into 3 pieces, and in the middle area you're going to place down pins. They don't have to be different colors, they can be the same color. And to separate the pins, you're going to lay down a skipping rope or a pool noodle or whatever you might have to separate into individual areas. And the defenders, they're going to be in the middle area, each defender defending one pin. And the attackers are going to be spread out along the sides. and the attackers are going to have soccer balls. So use a foam ball or indoor soccer ball or real soccer ball, whatever you have. Just enforce that. Don't boot it too hard or way too high in the air, that kind of thing. And the goal of the game is obviously for the attackers to try and knock over the pin. So everybody kicking the balls around at the same time. We see one pin has been knocked over, so the team yells out 1 because that's the score they're at. If they're at 10, they'd yell 10. And as a teacher, you'll go around and pick up the pins as soon as they're knocked down while they're playing. And the game goes on and on like that. If a ball gets kicked and it's stopped or it's rolled and stopped in the defender area, just ask the defenders if it's near them just to lightly brush the ball back, kick it back to the attackers so the game can continue on. Or as a teacher, you can go around and do that. And you're going to play for maybe 5 minutes or to 10 points or whatever you want, you decide. This game's called Knockout and can be used in the basketball or soccer unit as a part of your dribbling progression. Now in Knockout, you're going to want to use the basketball court as a boundary line, and there are a couple other lines that you'll want to throw in there. They'll have some importance I'll show you in a second here. Have your students spread out around the gym with their piece of equipment. We're going to go with soccer this time, but it could be basketball, like I said. Now, the goal of the game is to keep control of your own ball, so you'll be dribbling around. Each of these players will be dribbling around, keeping control of their ball while trying to knock away the ball of somebody else. So what happens is if a player goes and kicks the ball away from somebody else and it crosses past the boundary line, so outside of the basketball court, that player is then out. Now the player is not out for good. The player can bring their ball and keep the ball between their feet, and if somebody happens to come close to that line, they can try and kick their ball away as well, so they're not totally out of the game. Here's another case where a player's ball has been kicked out, so that player is out on that side. Now, that's not the only way you can get eliminated or knocked out. If you end up losing control, so a player dribbles and lost control just on his own, then he's out as well. So that's another way you can get knocked out. After a certain amount of time, the teacher will yell out, right side move in or move up to center, and it's just going to force the players to get a little bit more cramped together to make it more difficult. So right side move in, that line there, the players are going to want to move in front of that line. So there's a new play area, and that's the new player area in there. And once more and more people get eliminated, you'll shrink that area. So the teacher has to shrink it until there's 2 left in the small corner. This crazy ball soccer is a very simple idea that can be used throughout the grades, and you're going to need some soft or foam balls, just a bunch of different kinds, or 3 different kinds. So what you're going to do is you'll have your nets and form your teams, and instead of just starting with one soccer ball, which you can use a dodgeball or a foam soccer ball, whatever you have, you throw in something like a foam dice and a Nerf football or whatever kind of soft, safe balls that you can use for the students, and you play. You just have them all go at it, all 3 of them going at once. The thing about crazy ball soccer is the dice, for example, the football bounces all over the place and makes it really tough for the kids to time, and they have a lot of fun playing it. What I do is if a goal is scored, they just play on. The goalie can throw the ball out of the net or whatever, and I just usually put in a rule that if a goalie gets scored on, they have to switch with somebody else, and then the game just goes on and on. Put some music with it, and it's usually goes really good. It's called Pin Galore Soccer for grades 1 to 8. You'll need plastic pins and foam balls, and I found this game to be a simple yet effective modification to your regular soccer. So here in the playing area, you're going to set up plastic pins as the goal areas or the targets. For both teams, you have the same amount to start, and one team on one side, one team on the other side, and you'll throw in a soccer ball or foam ball, or 2 or 3 actually works really great to increase participation. And the simple idea, basically, when a player, instead of shooting into a goal, they try and shoot and knock over pins. So say a shot has been made and the goalie couldn't save it, and that pin is knocked over. Then that player who knocked over that pin, or if they knocked over more than one, they can grab whatever pins are down and add them to their team's side, and you keep going. So sometimes the games last a long time going back and forth, and sometimes a team will knock down all the pins and then they pick them back up and then they start a new round. So that's a very simple idea. Another way, alternatively, you can set it up is you can have 4 teams in the different corners, and again, it's important to make the goal areas where only the goalie can be, so you can use cones or the lines in the gym work best, and so you have your teams in the different corners and they just go at it. And if a team gets eliminated, you can have where the play stops for a quick second, and you just add the players who are on the losing team to different teams, so then you have 3 teams left, and then eventually 2 teams left, and until one team might be left. This game's called Steal the Ball, and it's a skill work game for grades 2 to 8. You'll need some type of ball, soccer ball, basketball, volleyball, even baseball or football could work. The more of them, the better, and hula hoops. So to start, you're going to have the middle area. It can be the middle of the gym, or if you're outside, create an area with a bunch of the balls. We'll use a soccer ball in this example, and then create some teams. You can have 4 teams, 5 teams, 6 teams, 7 teams, 8 teams, whatever you'd like, and then you'd have some players. So we have in the 6 teams, 2 players for each team. You could have 3 or 4, but usually 2 or 3 would work a little bit better, so there's less standing around. So if you can manage with 2 in a team, basically the idea when the whistle blows, the first person from each team is going to run to the middle area and collect a ball, and since it's soccer, then they'll have to dribble the ball back to their area and into their hula hoop, which is their collection area. Once they get there, their partner could then go and grab a ball. Once all the balls have been retrieved from the middle, there's nothing left, they can then go and steal from other groups. So they'd run over and steal a ball and bring it back. Players aren't allowed to defend to try and stop people from stealing it. It just won't work so well. The other ways to play, if it was volleyball, when players get to the middle of the circle and they grab a volleyball, they would have to set it to themselves on the way back. So they just keep setting it to themselves till they get back. So that's one skill you could work on. If it was basketball, of course, they would dribble the ball back. If it was football or baseball, maybe the one partner would run to the middle, grab the football, and then throw it to their partner and complete a catch in the hula hoop, hopefully. And then the next player would run, or they'd switch spots. This corner ball, and it's a soccer-based game, and I'd like to thank Stacy from Manchester for this idea. It's from grades 2 to 8, and you're going to need soccer ball and benches. So what you'll do is you start with the benches, and you're going to have them in each corner, and you're going to flip them so that the flat surface is the goal area, and you're going to create even teams, and the teams are going to actually crouch down behind their benches or stand behind their benches, however you like, and you're going to number off those players on the team. So there's teams of 5 here, so each player would be a number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And if there are extra players, so say there were 6 players on a team, one of the players can be number 1 and 6. So they each have a number, and you're going to place the ball in the middle, or you can also have the teacher. You can hold the ball along the side and throw the ball into play as you call out a number. So we're going to look at an example here. If the number 4 was called out, then all the number 4s will jump into the playing area, and they're going to do like a one-on-one on one-on-one until someone scores. So here the red team scored on the yellow. So the red team gets a point, and you can have a rule in there where the other 3 teams have to do some jumping jacks or something because they didn't get the goal, and then it all resets. So you have the teams back, and you'll call out another number. All right, so then whoever else will go out in the play court. You could also call 2 numbers at once, so you have 2 from each team jumping into the court, and go on like that.